What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for yet another panel show. Two of our favourite panellists have come to join us today, starting off with big Brian Daigle. I know things aren't going well, my brother, but how are you anyway?
First of all, because saying big Brian Daigle when I'm sitting next to Ashmatic is quite something. But yeah, like you said, I'm going for a bit of a tough time at the moment. But one of the good things when I have the strength and energy is to come on and speak Tottenham with the YouTube family and my big brothers. God, you've got that word big in my head above me. And of course, Ashmatic as well. So looking forward to this.
Yeah, and the second panelist, even bigger, Ashmatic. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, man, I'm blessed. I'm good. Good to be around you guys as well and talk all things Spurs.
Ash, you're quite quiet. It's can you?
Can you hear me now? Is it my mic?
A little bit. I think
quiet.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Oh, jeez. I don't know what to do.
Oh, wait, can you move your mic closer?
I need to get my other mic. Let me get my other mic and then maybe
all right.
You can hear me better.
All right, cool. No worries. Take your time. We'll speak to Daigle in the meantime.
That sounds good to me.
I like your little setup, Daigle, with the Tottenham on tour. I can see the windows.
Yeah, I know. This is the third bedroom, which is right now Aladdin's cave because it's got all my sister-in-law's stuff because she's on the other side of the country. But she's coming back and all this stuff will be leaving. So this will be my little head office for Tottenham on tour and stream. Simeon has seen my new setup that I've got, a new microphone, new everything through Brian Island.
Brian is stepping up his game. Game.
About time. I mean, I heard, obviously, I see in the comments some people say about the audio level. Well, right now I have got a tip-top mic and tip-top adjuster and everything, so I should be coming loud and clear. Whether that's good for people or bad for people, we'll find out.
And also wishing everyone a happy Passover today. And to you, Brian.
And George's Day. And happy St. George's Day.
And happy St. George's Day as well.
And Hag Sameach to one and all.
Yeah. How was your Seder last night, Daigle?
Me, my mother-in-law and my wife, no Seder, just a family meal. As I said, the family situation over here is completely different to the family, obviously, back home. But we did absolutely none of the Seder. So it was a very quick dinner.
Happy days then. You didn't send your plagues to the Emirates this year.
No, I send them every day, mate. I send them every day. It's not once a year. It's 365 thing.
We're gonna need all the plagues we can get for Sunday. That's for sure. Yeah. Right. I make a joke every year, Daigle, at my Seder, saying we're sending the plagues to the Emirates. And actually, last year it kind of worked because their season just fell apart around this time last year. So hopefully it'll be the same this year.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Big up to everyone in the chat. Big up to Peter M. Big up to Sleepy Mocker. Big up to Scott Hynam. Big up to Psycho Gaming. Big up to Psycho Gaming, of course. Massive. Peter M says, to get fourth, we have to get points of Arsenal, City, Chelsea and Liverpool. It's a big ask. Well, we'll get into that. We will get into all the permutations that we're running out of permutations at the moment to get fourth the way Villa are going. Don't worry, Sim. I'm sure you can. Don't you worry. There's a few ways we can. I can crunch the numbers again. Don't you worry. Those numbers will be crunched. Every time you try crunch the numbers, a result happens the week after. Like, back to the drawing board, people. All right, recrunch. Alan Morgan says, I think top four is gone now. There are three possible teams fighting for European football. Plus Chelsea have 7 games in hand. Well, 7. I don't know about 7, but they have a lot. If West Ham lose their next game, they can finish no more than 7th. What was another one? Mohammed Kwasi says, it's not actually over. We still need to fight for 5th. Newcastle can catch us up. There are people worried about Newcastle. Well, fixtures, and Newcastle have quite kind fixtures as well. Yeah, but realistically, finishing 5th or 6th, is there too much of a difference? Well, considering we've got Burnley and Sheffield, if we just win those two, I think. No, but I'm saying, like, for permutations for next season, it's Europa League is 5th and 6th. Oh, I see. Yeah, you're probably right about that. I'm trying to think. Yeah, 5th. 5th and 6th will be Europa. What are people saying?
It's like bloody hell. The 1 year Spurs need English teams to do well in Europe. They're all out by the semi-final phase. It's actually mad.
And
It's classic
have to remember,
Spurs.
Ben, you have to remember, Ben and Tim, at the start of the season when all these records were coming out from our 10 games, it was like only 4 teams or 2 teams that have had this point tally have not gone into the top 4, blah, 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 blah. Hello, Tottenham. You cannot make this stuff up. And here we are again.
Like Liverpool going out to Atalanta in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. Like, yeah, go on, speak, Ash. Let's give us a mic test.
So 1, 2, can you hear me? Any better?
That's a bit too much.
Maybe step away from it a bit.
Oh, sorry. How about now? How about now?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. There you go.
Trying to burst our
Two
eardrums
extremes.
there, Ash. But look, let's get into it. Let's go off to the first topic of the panel. We're going to talk about the Adoy injury. Obviously, it came out a couple of days ago that he is out for the rest of the season, which leaves us in a very precarious situation of how we set up the team from now until the end of the season. We don't have a natural fit there. Ben Davies is more of a centre-back now than a left-back, particularly in this system. So, Ash, how would you like to see Spurs set up with the left-back situation going on from now to the end of the season?
For me, it's the whole square pegs and round hole situation that we have at the moment it's a real thing, because Ben Davies, as you just said, is not a left back anymore. And then you've got to shoehorn someone like a Emerson Royale, who also isn't a left back either. And especially when you're playing the left backs as midfielders in the pockets or as number 8s, it kind of just goes against everything we need to do in possession. So what do you do? Do you know what I mean? So people are starting to ask, do you put like wingers that, play in a fullback position, like you got a Kulusevski? Do you play a Werner in there? But again, it's a square peg in a round hole. What are we doing? So I honestly would change it. I would change it. I would go to a back 3, because it just makes sense to play the best players in their best positions. And at the moment, these are the cards we've been dealt with. So I would honestly play 3 at the back, because it just makes sense. You've got Dragushin, who could play as a right-sided centre-back. You could got Mickey van der Ven that plays as a left-sided centre-back. And then you've got Romero that can play in the middle of the 3. So for me, why force the fullback situation when we don't have fullbacks that can play in that particular area? Unless you down tools, like I said, and you say, look, let's put Ben Davies there. Then you miss the pace. You put Emerson there. Emerson's got no left foot. He's a right-footed. So they're going to target him, and they're going to purposely allow him to have the ball at certain times, because they say, look, he's not a worry. And then on top of it, when you've got someone like Emerson Royale or Ben Davies playing high up in the pitch, it's like a man wasted up there, if that makes sense. The whole reason is to have that fullback in the attacking position is to maybe do like a false run to take a player away. But Arsenal would look at that player and be like, yeah, he can run there. He's not going to do nothing, because if he's in the final third, can he shoot? Can he cross? Can he pass? Does he have the intelligence to make the attacking run? Does he have that kind of footballing IQ to know when to run? Because for me, it's all about timing of run. That's why we look static at times when the fullbacks have inverted in those particular positions. So if it's not working and you don't have the players for that particular system, but you do have players for another particular system, then for me that makes sense. Will he change it though? This is the real $1 million question that everyone's asking. I don't think he will. Personally, I don't think he will change it. I think he will go with a back 4 still, and I think you'll probably, if Poro's out, probably have Dragushin as a right back, because he has played there in his career before at Juventus as a under 21s academy graduate, and he was actually bought for that reason, actually, for Juventus. Paratici identified him as a right back, didn't he? So he can play that position. I know for us, he has played on the left side of the centre back, but we have no need for him there because Mickey van der Ven is there now. Everyone's saying would you possibly put Mickey van der Ven as a left back? But then you've got the same problem of who's going to be the one that's going to sweep up, clean up. If Van der Ven's high up, and then the balls gets played over the top, and Mickey van der Ven's even further away from where he needs to be, then you're creating another problem on top, compound interest. So for me personally, I can't see it working as well in a back four, shoehorning a Emerson Royale, a Ben Davies, a Kulusevski, or because Kulusevski, yeah, physical and in the build up, good, but defending wise, when you're asking him to do a job against Saka, Ben White, and Odegaard, because they will all go over to that right hand side where Kulusevski will be. You're asking him to do defensive responsibilities, which is taken away from his attacking prowess. I do see the positives in having a winger in a fullback position, because you've got Werner there. For me, Werner is left-footed, but again, he's right-footed. But his left foot's no good, in my opinion. Every time that he does well defensively on that left-hand side, helping out his fullback, but having him there in that position, you lose that defensive solidity that we're going to need against Arsenal, who are going to have a lot of the ball. I know we're going to look to dominate a lot of the ball, but again, this is Arsenal going for the league. They're going to be on it. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you really want to risk putting a Werner, Timo Werner, in that position? Bros, man, them, listen, gal them, everyone in the comments. Let's not make it hard work. Just make it back free, please.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly, man. I think that, you know, playing a Davis or an Emerson at left back is only going to cause us major issues. And it's not just the Arsenal game, it's moving forward into the other games as well. You know, you got Liverpool going for the title, Man City going for the title, Chelsea as well, who seem to have turned a little bit of corner in recent weeks as well. Daigle, where do you stand with this? Are you in agreement?
So first of all, I think we have the players, like Ashmatic said, that the back three makes total sense. We actually have, if you look at it now, 3 central defenders. If we saw them there, you'd be like, okay, I'm confident, I'm safe, I'm happy with that. But he won't. I am so dead against Van der Ven going left back, because it's good. Listen, we did it with Jan Vertonghen, but with Jan Vertonghen, our whole shape didn't revolve around him and his pace. It does with Mickey van der Ven, and if he goes left back and he gets caught upfield, he's not getting back in time. He's not in the positions that he would be to mop up like he has been. So I think we create more problems moving him to the left than any other. But the one I didn't watch your video yesterday about the formations, but I wouldn't mind. I'll probably get pelted in the comments for this. I wouldn't mind seeing Kulusevski at left back.
In a back four?
In a back four, or but if you look at it, we've been moaning about his lack of productivity up high, and it has been a complete difference since Conte. The Conte Kulusevski that was lethal up top has not rediscovered his form. But what we have all seen, and we have all commented on and commended him for, is his work rate, his defensive work, his hold-up play. And if we do play the same sort of system, but different players in that position, do I have more faith in Kulusevski if he gets higher up the pitch than I do a Ben Davies? Or if we put Emerson left back, and I don't think Emerson will be left back because we doubt Porro will be playing. And if Porro isn't there as well, then you know Emerson is going there, or Dragushin. But I wouldn't mind seeing Kulusevski. We've all been saying his hold-up play and what he's doing defensively and the ground he covers has been excellent. He's off form up top, but I think him playing at... Why not experiment? We need to see something different. I don't think... If we're going to play the same system, I want to see Kulusevski at left back, in all honesty, rather than Davies, because I certainly don't want to see Van der Ven. I don't know what people think of that, but I think Kulusevski would do a better job than Davies.
Brian, you're not worried about the prospect of Deki defensively coming up against Bukayo Saka?
I'm worried about anyone coming up against Bukayo Saka without Destiny or Porro. Ben Davies, as we've said, at a left back, he's even said it himself, I'm a left centre back now, not a left back. Will he get caught out if we play the same system? He will. Does he have the power and the strength and the qualities that Kulusevski may bring? I don't think so. I'm worried about the way we're set up right now and the injuries we have. I'm worried about Saka. I'm worried about Martinelli. I'm worried about Odegaard. And that's where it is. We've done it to ourselves again. The final thing I will say, back in peak Poch, when we had Davies and Rose and Trippier and Walker, and he rotated, it didn't matter which ones we saw. Going into that game, we're like, they know the position. They know what they're doing. We weren't like, oh my God, the drop-off is bad. Since then, the drop-off from the starting full-backs, wing-backs, left-back, whatever you want to call them, to the replacement is night and day. And it's a problem.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we're probably all in agreement that we probably preferably want to see a back three first and foremost start for the foreseeables till next season, probably till Destiny's back. Are you in agreement with that, Sim, first and foremost?
Well, it is worrying, I would say, that one player injury is, when we're talking about a complete change of formation, just with one player out. I don't think Ange would want that to be the case. I don't think he wants us to be so focused on one player being available that we have to change the whole formation to accommodate our vulnerabilities in that position. But the reality is we don't have a real left back at the moment who can do what Udogie can do. So that is a big problem. And I think there's definitely problems with Davis playing that role. Well, we've seen it this season. Well, apart from a few cameo roles when he's come off the bench and done all right, whenever he has started as left back, he's been a problem for sure, and he hasn't really done the job there. Emerson being there for sure hasn't done the job, but I think he's been pretty bad when he's played left back. He's just nowhere near good enough on the ball to retain possession and playing that inverted role. Van de Ven has played obviously left back for Wolfsburg, but playing left back for Wolfsburg is very different to the left back we're gonna want from him. You don't want Van de Ven doing what Udogie does in terms of sometimes turning up in that number 10 position, sometimes being up the pitch, that kind of thing. So I think if Ange is going to make it work, and if Ange is going to have this team functioning to a good level, he's going to have to be adaptable, in my opinion. I don't think we can just play the same way with both fullbacks inverting and expect better, similar results. And I know that he's ingrained in this team the whole season. Whatever the situation, whatever team we play the same way and all that kind of stuff. And I respect that, but I think he's going to have to show some adaptability at this point if we're going to be functional as a team, in my opinion. And that for me would be going to a back three. What I would want to see is us going to a back three, but kind of a bit like a hybrid, or kind of what Newcastle did. Not in the same way, but in a similar way that Newcastle were adaptable, whereas off the ball they went into kind of like a back five system, and they were very resolute, and then on the ball they kind of went to a 3-4-3. That's what I want to see Spurs do. So I want to see on the ball we go into like a back four. You have like Van de Ven as like left back, Dragoshin, Romero, on the ball you go into a back three with Van de Ven, Dragoshin, Romero. You got Porro and Werner going all the way forward, and you have like a midfield three, and then off the ball you kind of have Van de Ven staying back and being that a kind of a defender in that way. I would like to see a hybrid system in that fashion. So you keep Van de Ven back there. You don't have him going forward, but he can also kind of mix it between being in the wide area and being that left centre back as well. I would have a back three of like Van de Ven and Romero as the wide centre backs, Dragoshin in the centre, Porro given a bit more license to go forward, and then but also having to be in a back four when required, and Werner kind of half cheating, doing his defensive duties, but kind of hanging around that left hand side and ready to be that left winger when we need him to be. That's what I kind of would like to see from this team.
Similar to what we did under Mourinho?
We did it for a time under Mourinho with I remember Ben Davis kind of did that hybrid role. Off the ball we went to a back four, on the ball into a back three, something similar to that, I would say. Be a bit adaptable, and that's kind of the best way I see us envisage us coping without Udogie, because Udogie does such an important role tactically. being able to keep possession with his strength, driving us up the pitch with his ability to carry the ball with his pace. He's so vital tactically, and Davis has struggled to do that role when he's had to. So I think the best way to deal with it would be to do a back three. But I also understand if Ange feels like, I don't want to change the whole way we play just because we got one player missing. And yes, Davis might not be the best fit, but given his vulnerabilities, it's still best to keep the team dynamic together, even with Davis's vulnerabilities, just for the sake of one player, as opposed to changing the whole team setup. And we're not going to be as used to that kind of setup, so that's going to leave not a lot of training on the training pitch to deal with that.
So let me ask a question, or you guys a question on that. If he is forced, let's just say he is forced to play Davies and Emerson, do you reckon that forces his hand to drop either Johnson or Werner to play Kulu for his defensive work? Because you were just saying about if one player changes his whole game, and like we're saying, his whole build-up, if we're playing those two, surely, I'm not too sure what Werner's and Johnson's stats are for tracking back and helping out, but I can pretty much probably guarantee that Kulusevski is night and day with them on that. So if we are forced to play both of them or one of them, do we see Kulusevski coming in for a Johnson and a Werner, or a Werner, sorry?
The thing is, as well, is like it depends if we're playing a 4-3-3 shape, or if we're playing a 4-2-3-1. And the reason why I make the two distinctions is because in the 4-2-3-1, at least you've got cover with the double pivots. So the two defensive midfielders, one of them can help out the one of the fullbacks if they're out of position, if that makes sense. So we're not so vulnerable on the attack from Arsenal or whatever team we're playing against.
And Sarr was doing that really well first half of the season.
Yeah, exactly. And so maybe that comes into consideration. But I do see your point, Brian, with Kulusevski helping out defensively. I honestly think that Ange wants to be front-footed. It doesn't matter who the opposition is. He wants to show that this is the way we play now, and we are not going to bow down for any opposition. He wants to get that into the players' heads, the ethos, the philosophy, the ideas. But yeah, I personally think a double pivot protecting those fullbacks when they do invert, or like Sim was saying, instead of having both fullbacks push up at the same time, you maybe have one fullback play in the central of midfield, and then one fullback act as an 8 or a winger or an outside winger, like a wing back. So you don't have two extremes. So two invert, but they invert differently, just to add protection, just in case we lose the ball. Equally, you have a rest defense, meaning when we're in possession, we are a back three. So you can still have your back four, but when we're actually in possession, we have three defenders sitting, not sitting, but like they're not involved in the attacking play. They're actually there to clean up just in case. So normally we have 2, 3, 5. I think that's the formation. And what I'm saying is, can we change like the rest of the league, like your Man Cities, like your Liverpools, like your Arsenals? Can we do a 3 at the back when we're in possession, a 2 and a 5 up top? And then with one of the fullbacks, instead of all 5 of them pushing up, maybe 4 of them push up. So we've got 4 at the top, and one of the fullbacks is sacrificed and placed in midfield. But when we lose the ball, I think everyone's role has to be clearly defined. So if you are a fullback and you're playing in the midfield, as soon as we lose the ball, we need to be winning those second balls, and we need to be first at the scene of the fire, because we know Gabriel wants to get on the ball and he wants to do a diagonal into someone like a Martinelli or a Trossard, whoever's on that wing. Am I making sense? Or not even Martinelli, Saliba. So Saliba is doing a diagonal to Martinelli, let's say. But if we get a player straight away. One of our attackers, they need to be on Gabriel to stop him, or Saliba to stop them from doing that out ball. So, or when Ben White gets on the ball, or not Ben White, when Jorginho gets on the ball, Jorginho likes to play a long ball. He likes to dictate from deep. So we need a player that's on Jorginho. We need a player that's on Rice. Those kind of roles need to be defined and made really simple. If we're going to play really high up the pitch, we're going to be really front-footed, and we're going to stop getting played in behind, because I think that's been our biggest problem, is that we're not putting out fires quick enough at times. We are one of the top teams for high turnovers, or PDA, was it PPDA or whatever you want to call it? But it's really hurt us when it doesn't work, and that's when all the fans say, "Look, we're taking too much risk up top of the pitch because we're pushing all of our men forward and we look exposed at the back." I don't know if I'm making any sense, guys.
No, you do. And no, as soon as you're right, we're good at pressing, but as soon as teams are able to beat that press, we are so vulnerable. It seems like every time we are. It's not like they beat the press, then like the attack peters out. It seems as though every time they beat the press, they're in on our goal and it's a chance, and that's always the biggest issue. And also another thing to consider, if Porro is injured as well, then we've got another problem. For me, I think if Porro's out, I think for me, I would play a midfielder there. I wouldn't play Emerson. I would play one of Højbjerg or Sarr at right back, because if you actually look at the profile of the fullbacks and the centre mids, it's actually quite a similar skill set. I think it's quite a similar profile needed for both kind of positions, how we play them. And I like, you need to be quite good on the ball. You need to be able to deal with the ball in tight spaces. You need to be able to cover a lot of ground. And I think someone like Sarr would be much more suited than Emerson to play that role, in my opinion.
Great shout. Especially when we've seen his crosses against Villa. I think he put another one in again recently, home to Forest. I've been amazed by Sarr's actual cross. That's actually a really good shout, Sim.
And I want to see him be creative, because I think we've seen Emerson enough this season at right back, and it just hasn't. I've never seen it really work ever. Apart from maybe the first day of the season against Brentford when he scored. Even that game he struggled against Rigo Henry.
How many games has he actually played though?
He played Wolves at home, and he played Brentford at home. Away, sorry. I think that's it, potentially.
He came on obviously a few games. He came on against Newcastle for Porro, didn't he? And then when he did come on,
didn't think he was that great.
Yeah, in the final thirds,
he's just useless.
He's not effective, I'd say, like in terms of
that's
presence.
Another way of putting
it. I'm just saying in terms of presence, like Ben, you could probably hardly remember his performance, and Brian, like, tell me one good thing he did. Like, it's hard to kind of put it into, even if you watch it back now, you probably struggle to say like, okay, right, this is what he offers, this is what he does on the ball. Like, do you know what I mean? He's almost like
he offers vibes. That's about it.
Yeah, you need Barry on this stream to get the chronological things that he's done. Wrong people to ask.
Let me ask you this though, like, because I think that the narrative around the Spurs fan base is that Ange ain't going to change it. He's going to play Davis at left back. He's going to play Emerson at right back. If he does do that, is he being too stubborn for his own good?
Ange out. I'm joking now. He does need to tweak in certain situations where, if they're not offering anything in the game and we're absolutely getting pummeled, then he's going to need to change something, because it's not working. Whether we have a lot of the ball, it doesn't matter, because we've had a lot of possession against most teams. Even the top teams, we've had decent amount of possession. But if those players aren't effective in the attacking third and they're not helping, like, for example, Maddison, everyone's screaming at, we need Maddison in the right position. And now you've got the fullbacks where he should be effectively. But if you've got Maddison dropping wide in midfield, or he's dropping in that 6 role, trying to, dictate from deep, it's the movement from the fullback in that midfield position that's meant to take and create space for Maddison to kind of make things happen, if that makes sense. So because the movement from the fullbacks, from Ben Davies and Emerson Royal, is not going to be as good as maybe a Doggy or a Porro, then it's like the whole point of you inverting is pointless, because we're just having numbers up in that area. We're having possession, but in the wrong areas in the pitch. We need to have possession in the box. We need to have more touches in the box than the opposition. You need to be creating chances. But it's almost like it's too crammed, if that makes sense. Too crammed in there. And because it's too crammed, there's no space to move. And then you've got your wingers hugging the touchline, and the wingers are actually forwards. So essentially you've got your forwards further away from the goal. And so it's a mixed mashup. Like, for that tactic now, you're looking at it, is it really effective? It's like it's starting to break
Not when
down.
you have those fullbacks, it isn't, because you're getting Emerson and Davis in these forward positions where they're not comfortable. Adoy and Porro is different because, they're great in those positions. They're really forward-thinking players. But when you got Emerson and Davis there, I think the whole system, how it functions, is completely different.
This is
what I'm saying. We need to have a bit of give and take from Ange from now to the end of the season. We can't have him, being way too stubborn in his system, because he needs to be able to change things up, especially when we don't have the personnel to play that system. He just needs to. Spurs
Watcher saying, where was it? I just had it. They're saying that Dan Kilpatrick believes that Davis is likely to replace Udogie at left back for the North London derby.
It's a problem.
Well, do you know what it is, Ben, with the question you asked? I look at it in two ways now, because obviously you had Brains on the show last week when you did that call in, and he did his monologue, and people are saying, listen, this is Ange's way. Once he gets his players, this is it. Give it time. The players got, which, okay, let's go by that and go by that premise. Okay, carry on doing that. Might not have the players if that's what I do have a problem with, and where I would call Ange stubborn, and what I'm getting a little bit frustrated with him is I understand he wants to do that, but like at Newcastle and other games when we're under siege, just for 10, 15 minutes, go, right, drop deeper. Or just see this game out, weather this storm, and just change it, slight tweak, just to ride the storm, and then revert back to, so if we're under siege from the filth on Sunday and it's just coming down whatever wing, whatever, do I think he'll go, right, okay, let's drop deeper, midfielders go? That's where I think his stubbornness is the bigger problem for me. I get that he wants to play this style of play. He said if the players make a mistake, it's on me, not them. This is what I've asked them to do. The bit that I'm getting frustrated with is when you can clearly see, like people that went to Newcastle or Brighton, you can see where the issue is. And if we just dropped for 15 minutes, 10 minutes even, just change it and break it up, rally, like I said, weather the storm, then go back, that's what I want to see from him. And I think we need to see from him.
I agree.
I think also if he does drop, just from attacking point of view, if he does drop the line a little bit, that can create more space in midfield, because the midfielders could drop into the space that the defenders have created, and then that can draw the opposition out of a low block or a mid block or whatever defensive shape they're in, and then all of a sudden holes start appearing all over the pitch. Because for me, football's about making the pitch as big or as long or as wide as possible, and you do that by dropping your back line a little bit. I do understand the premises of having a high line to squeeze the pitch, and then we win the ball high up and then we attack. But also, like you said, there is a time and a place where you can, say, look, we're a bit narrow, we're a bit tight, we're a bit congested, maybe like a couple yards here, let's open the pitch up. And it's about whether the players as well have that nous about them. They're like, okay, this isn't working. All right, cool. How can we switch it up? And then also the relationship, because Maddison predominantly, I know he's a free roamer, but predominantly he operates as a deep lying playmaker or a wide midfielder. And it's about him having a relationship with, if Ben Davies does start, like Ben Davies needs to know, like if, he drops into his position as a left back, like Maddison, let's say he drops into left back to pick up the ball and receive it, then Ben Davies needs to know, all right, I need to be in that 8 position and I need to make a run to pull a player away to give Maddison more space. Do you understand? So then Maddison can find a killer pass, because that's one thing I haven't seen from Maddison. I haven't seen him threading balls from deep and cutting teams open and doing balls over the top or spraying balls across the pitch. And the reason for that is because maybe if you've got a Ben Davies in there now looking forward, is he going to do those runs? Is he going to time those runs that he's going to help open up the pitch? for Maddison and make things different. Do you know what I mean? And vice versa. You want to see Ben Davies go on the outside, then Werner goes inside, or whoever's on the left goes on the inside, and then vice versa. You might want to see Maddison in the actual 10 position where we brought him for to do actual damage, where he can actually get a shot off, in those right particular areas. So that all of these positions marrying into wing with each other, and the understanding between the players need to be spot on. So it's going to be interesting to see what Ben Davies. What we can say about Ben Davies though is, like, no, he hasn't got the pace, and no, he hasn't got, like, the footballing attacking prowess, but defensively he's going to get a lot of blocks in. He's going to be positionally, he's going to be in the right position. He's an experienced head. I'm not advocating for Ben Davies, but look, this is the cards we've been dealt. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Ben Davies as a defender will help us out defensively. It's just going forward. That's where the issue lays. So I'm trying to be positive, guys. I don't know. I'm running out.
Well, keep that positivity, Ash, because the next topic that we're going to be speaking about is the North London derby. We've spoken a bit about it already in terms of how we can potentially set up our back four / back five. But we'll start off with you, Brian. Can we win? Can we go and win the North London derby on Sunday? 2:00 kickoff against an Arsenal team fighting to win the title. Can we ruin their season?
Can we? Yes. Will we?
Don't finish it off, Dave. You said yes.
Of course we can. Of course we can. The thing that's concerned me with this game is obviously tonight they play Chelsea, and it'll be the anti-Spurs loving, and Cole Palmer is ill, so their best player is out. They'll probably let Arsenal steamroller them, or at least get the 3 points. And they would have come off the back of a Champions League quarterfinal exit, but immediately had 2 games to rectify it, and probably had 2 games to take 6 points and come into this game feeling confident, feeling we've had 2. Whenever we've had this long break, and remember, just 1 game a week, people, 1 game a week. This is going to benefit us. It's really going to help us. So I listen. I was with you for the last North London derby. I walked out at half time because I was just disgusted with the performance, disgusted with everything going on. I really, really want us to ruin their season. Nothing would give me greater pleasure than to ruin their season, go on all the channels happy, and doesn't matter how we win it, just win it. We can do it. Will we do it? Like I said, I'm not going to finish that part for you, Ben. I'll leave that. Of course we can. Of course we can.
How can we do it, Brian?
Find a lad in, ask for a rub of his lamp, and all of us use our wishes. That would be my first point of call. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
Ash, what are you thinking about the North London derby? Obviously, Arsenal not in the best form at the moment. They did get a big win on the weekend against Wolves. They play tonight against Chelsea, so we'll see how they're looking tonight before the game on Sunday. But how do you see the game going? Do you think we got a good chance of really turning them over, or do you think this is going to be a good game for Arsenal to play against us?
I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens against Chelsea tonight. I think that could affect the way things pan out on Sunday for the North London derby. But we all know form goes out the window when it comes to our rivals. When it comes to the filth, when it comes to the enemy, we know that it's just about heart, passion. Like, anything can happen on a day. Do you know what I'm saying? So Ange's going to have to give one of those super speeches, one of those crazy speeches where he just riles up those troops and we just go at them. But is there a way we can upset them? Yeah, I think there is. Like, it depends who they play at the back. I think when Ben White plays, sometimes he plays high up. He helps Saka double up at times, and when he does get high up, the space is in behind. It's as simple as that. Similar to when Zinchenko, if he starts, when Zinchenko inverts again, the space is there to be exploited. So it depends on what formation they go with. I said it before. if you stick a man on like a Jorginho or Rice, or it depends how they build up. But basically, we need to kind of stick a man on their midfields, press them violently. We know that Rice isn't the most progressive passer out of all of their midfield options. He does work super hard. He's like a top player. But again, if you can keep him quiet and keep him modest, then he's a big reason why Arsenal tick the way they tick. You know what I mean? So, and also we have to take slight risks, I think, in this game. If we do take some risks, it may pay off, but at the same time, they could backfire. But I think the whole reason why Ange Ball has worked at the start of the first 10 games is because we took risks, and those risks, we got the high rewards for them. So what I mean by risks is at times, people don't like us playing out from the back. They think it's too risky. But I honestly think Arsenal will try to press us very highly, super aggressive. And we saw it against Bayern Munich. Once you beat that press, then there is space in behind to exploit, to attack. And it just happens that if we do like one touch, two touch type of football, you can easily beat their press, and then you can caught them with their trousers down because they've pushed so many men high up the pitch. Also, I just think our players have been massively underperforming. Son Heung-min, last 2 or 3 games haven't scored. Maddison has fallen off a cliff, some would say, because I think this has been one of his worst seasons in terms of goal and assist contributions. If I might have got it wrong, but at Leicester, the season that we signed them, I think he had like 15 or something crazy. The amount of goal contributions he had was really high. So we need Maddison to start scoring again. He needs him to start turning up, even if he's not scoring, assisting. The relationship Maddison and Son had in that North London derby, that was crazy for me. Like, we need that type of chemistry back. We get Maddison and Son, like our best players, playing the way they're meant to be playing, we could see a different type of Spurs. Son actually gets up for the big games. He seems to turn up for North London derby, and he scored numerous of worldies against Arsenal. So a lot of Arsenal fans do respect him. They're quite nervous of him. So it'll be interesting to see what type of Son does turn up. It'll be interesting to see if Son does play the number 9 role, or if he plays out wide and Werner's sacrificed. And most people probably think that he will start as a number 9. But yeah, man, I just need to see top performances from our top players. And Basuma, again, there's a whole debate whether or not he will down tools or he will improve on the performances that we haven't seen on this side of the year. Like I think people are saying that the argument is in the big games, that's when you see Basuma, and the smaller games where teams like, give us a bit of space, then that's when he's, not being proactive. For me personally, I wouldn't be mad if he was dropped for the North London derby, only because...
Who's Son?
No, Maddison. Not Maddison. Basuma.
Basuma. Bloody hell. I thought, what's going on here?
Well, Maddison. Yeah. No. We need Maddison's kind of... For me, it's about mentality at the moment. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for characters. I'm looking for mentality. I'm looking for concentration. And the reason why people don't want to see a Højbjerg start a North London derby is because in the build-up or under pressure, we associate Højbjerg as being a bit stiff. Turns like a bust, he's a bit, So for me, if you bypass Højbjerg in the build-up, which I think we do when Maddison drops into the midfield and he drops into the kind of 6 role sometimes to play make, I think you don't need Højbjerg in the build-up. What you need Højbjerg to do is to screen the defense. And then also when we do have the ball, we need to do fast transitions. He's a man that can spray the ball over the top, switch the play. He's the one that could do, 2 touches and then he hits the ball early. A bit what like Jorginho does for Arsenal. So I'm not asking him to like carry the ball, dribble, be in tight spaces, wriggle off, do all that type of stuff. I just need Højbjerg to do what he's good at. And it just comes down to players that have the right mentality at the moment. I know Højbjerg hasn't started well in first halves, but then Basuma hasn't started well in first halves either. So like it's that kind of conundrum you have in my mind what do you do? Do you start? Do you keep a player that's not been performing in the midfield, or do you try to switch it up and change it up? Some people might say let's put Sarr in, but if you put Sarr in the 6, then I think like you lose that kind of box to box presence that Sarr brings, and he covers a lot of the pitch. You don't want Sarr just kind of sitting and not like helping another defensive midfielder. You kind of want him in a double pivot or an ability to help the number 6, in my opinion. So yeah, that's what I think. That's how I think we can do us.
I think the ability to the ability to be able to beat the press is just so vitally important in this game. I mean, you've seen in the last couple of games, you mentioned the Bayern Munich game, but I even take the Wolves game as well. Like even Wolves were able to beat Arsenal's press a little bit in that first half, and they created a few avenues of where they could go hurt Arsenal, and you could see where that was. You know, if they would have had better attackers in that game in that first half, they could have got a goal or two. They really could have. And Odegaard is so important in their press, leading that press. He occupies 2 players whenever he's pressing. He occupies a midfielder and a defender. And what I noticed, and I even saw a thread on it as well, where what Bayern Munich and what Wolves were doing, they got a defender to go very wide every time the goalkeeper had the ball. So it kind of made Odegaard had to make a decision. Does he either go with the defender or does he go with the midfielder? And he couldn't occupy both those players. So if we can do that and we get Van de Ven to go wide, or we get a defender to go wide and spread the play a bit more, that will open up a bit more spaces for us to operate in.
I just to add on to that real quick before I let Brian come in, I think Vicario would be essential to that, because against Aston Villa and Bayern Munich, I felt that Martinez in goal and Euro for Bayern Munich, they were able to play out from the back and act as a third centre back, and so that allowed Van de Ven to spread wide, that allowed Romero to spread wide as 2 wide centre backs. And as you said, like Odegaard had a choice: does he press the keeper? Does he press Van de Ven? Does he get pulled out of position? And then that helps us when we're trying to play out from the back, quickly getting behind Arsenal's press. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I agree. I think I said it against the Newcastle game on my channel, and I got a bit of a pushback, but I said sometimes Vicario dwindles on the ball. Like sometimes I felt like he needs to play the ball out quicker, whether it's the right decision or wrong decision. Just be assertive, make that decision, make that call real quick. And that's how if you take 2 or 3 seconds, that allows the team to affect the press. And then when you do pass it to a centre back, then all of a sudden 2 or 3 men are on him. He's making a poor decision and it goes out for a throw in. And then again, turnovers there. Do you understand? Or we're conceding a high quality turnover like against us. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I agree, man.
The only thing I was going to add to that is we're all talking about the formation, the players, whatever the style of play, how we can counteract them, how we can do this. For me, I don't know if it's been mentioned in the comments, the biggest concern for me with this game is the fact that Arsenal have been, since the turn of the year when Declan Rice has been on corners and set pieces, they have been absolutely bang on the money and scoring regularly and often game by game from set pieces. And our biggest Achilles heel, and it's been for a while, is set pieces. So even if we cancel each other out playing wise and style wise, every time we get a give away a corner or they get a free kick and Declan Rice is on the end of it, it's a problem because we just don't know how.
Even if he's taken it.
I thought this is how we could hurt Arsenal. I didn't know how Arsenal could hurt us. Many ways Arsenal can hurt us.
The question is, are we going to win the North London derby? Go on, Daigle.
It's a huge problem. You have to look at it on both sides. We can all talk about how are we going to break them down, or how can we get through to them. We've got to make sure that we are wide awake at set pieces. Vicario gets enough cover because we know they pressure. Every team has found the weakness in putting Vicario under pressure. Set pieces is a huge concern. And again, it goes back to who goes in. When we're talking about Kulusevski, does Kulusevski's height at set pieces come into this? There's so many variables, but set pieces for them and for us is going to be a huge part of this game.
Yeah, especially against like Newcastle and West Ham, we were just giving away stupid set piece after stupid set piece after stupid set piece. We need to become more clever in that aspect, 100%.
The thing about Kulusevski though is when he did come on against Newcastle and we did concede, Shaw was meant to be his man, and he basically switched off, and Shaw got the run on him, literally got a couple yards on him, curved his run, boom, headed it, boom, 4-0. So I do hear what you're saying about Kulusevski's height and whatnot, but at the same time, and this is the thing, this is the problem about having your Kulusevskis, your Werners in that kind of fullback role. Are they defensively switched on? So that's where the problem lies. Just to balance it out, back to your point, Brian. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I hear it. Like, we could talk about the positives for Spurs, but yeah, there are a lot of question marks.
Yeah, I feel like
politely, Ash. Yeah.
I feel like if Arsenal set up in a similar way they did against Man City at the Etihad, I think we're going to be in big trouble because they've got this like sense about them at the moment. They can be pragmatic if they want to be, and they can kind of dig deep and defend situations now. Obviously, they've got the best defense in the league. And obviously, it kind of depends what mentality they go into this game. I think if they beat Chelsea on Tuesday, maybe there's a bit less pressure on them and they can play with that bit more pragmatic style in terms of knowing they can control the game. Maybe if they lose or drop points on Tuesday, maybe it might change their mentality a bit where they feel like they're chasing again and they might need to come flying out the traps and give themselves a bit more confidence. I'm not 100% sure how they're going to be approaching this game, but I do worry. Like when teams have been a bit smarter against us, like Newcastle were, and like Fulham were, we've definitely struggled a lot. And I'm like Arsenal have the capability of doing that. That's what I'm a bit worried about. Being a bit more smarter, a bit more pragmatic, knowing it's a North London derby, a pressure situation. They can kind of dig deep. Ride waves of pressure without conceding too many chances, and then once they get on the front foot, they can. We definitely have the capability of being opened up for sure. I do think they are vulnerable at fullback. Obviously, we are as well, but I think that's where in the defence recently for sure is down their left hand side. They've been very, very vulnerable. Whether that be Kiwi or Zinchenko, both defenders. They can't seem to pick which one is starting at the moment because both teams
they play Tomiyasu.
Both defenders have been struggling in that position at the moment. So I definitely think there's a vulnerability there if we can exploit that. Down Ben Whiteside as well. I don't think they've been as vulnerable, but that's something we can maybe get at. But do we have the players to really exploit those situations? That's the question mark I have at the moment as well. We've got players who can give them a bit of trouble, but are they going to ruthlessly exploit those sides? I feel like they've been exploited in recent weeks. I'm not 100% sure from that point of view. But if they do come at us a bit and do kind of come into this game with a mentality like they're going to really take the game to us and they need to win this game and they need to come flying out the traps, then I do think we can catch them with if we have Son in the 9 and we know he's so great with his movement and he's so good at running in behind. I was watching them against Wolves and I definitely felt Wolves had a bit more quality in those forward areas. The amount of spaces they were finding in those in behind, they could have really hurt Arsenal. And I feel like if we will find similar situations to what Wolves are finding, we definitely have the quality to hurt them a lot more than what Wolves were doing. So I do think there's going to be opportunities for us to hurt them. But Arsenal are a very, very strong defensive team at the moment. They're a bit more measured and controlled than they were last season, so it's going to be very difficult finding those opportunities, but we have the quality to exploit it in the central areas. I feel we have the quality, but do we have the problem is their biggest vulnerabilities out wide, and do we have the quality there? That's a big question mark at the moment.
I was listening to Thierry Henry speak after the Champions League game against Bayern Munich on TNT or CBS, I think it was, and he was saying that he always fears when Arsenal play 3 games in the space of a week. And I'm looking at Arsenal now, and I'm looking at the Wolves game. I'm looking at the Bayern Munich second leg. All the 4 games that they played in those last 4 games, you're seeing a sense of they are getting a bit tired. They are a bit leggy, and I think we need to thrive on that, and we need to counteract that, and we need to take advantage of that. And Arsenal in the last 4 games are not the same team that you have been seeing over the last 2 or 3 months, in my opinion. They're not the team of February that are scoring 5 or 6 goals a game. You are seeing a few holes in their defence as well, where teams can target and create chances. At home against Villa, Villa were very much the better team and deserved to win. Yes, Arsenal had a few chances in the first half. Against Bayern Munich, I thought Bayern Munich were, deserved victors over the 2 legs. And against Wolves, I saw a few vulnerabilities that Arsenal was showing, particularly in that first half. So if we're on our game and Ange is smart about it and about beating the press and about all the things that we have discussed, I do think there's an opportunity that we can go and win this game. I really do. And I think Arsenal are coming into this game, as much as they'll be confident to beat us because of how easy we are to play through sometimes and our vulnerabilities at the back. I think they're looking at this game and they're saying, Tottenham away is not an easy game. And there's a bit of apprehension and anxiety for Arsenal fans coming into this game because they know exactly what it means. And when it comes to crunch time for Arsenal, we saw it at the end of last season. We're seeing it happen now. When it comes to crunch time, they can sometimes falter. So there are a few positive things that we can ride on for this North London derby.
Yeah, I think the only other thing I'll add to this, and they do deserve credit for this, no matter what any team would. What we do have to remember, there may be frailties, there may be chinks in the armour, but they haven't let an away goal in the league since Nottingham Forest at the end of January. Now, they've been at Man City. They have had some tough games. They've been that by anyone's feet, whether it be City, Liverpool, us, to not concede an away goal since late January. I mean, look, put it this way. We ended Conte's 15-game winning streak for Chelsea. Let's pray to God we can shut that record up and get an away goal. But that, like you said, Ben, they're not the free-flowing team we saw a couple of months ago. But in defence, they are getting the job done, and we just need to make sure we can breach it.
But Brian, even in defence, man, I'm seeing Gabriel has had an unbelievable season. Yeah, I'm not saying he hasn't. He's had an unbelievable season. But even Gabriel in these last few games, you're seeing a few nerves start to creep in there. You really are. And what more nerves there going to be in the North London derby when you've got 60,000 fans or just below hurling abuse at you? You know what I mean?
Correct.
And also, what I would say about that City game, fair play. They got a clean sheet. That's never easy to do. But they clearly went into that game like we need a point, essentially. Like, they didn't go into that game thinking, like, if we don't win, if it's a disaster, if you know what I mean. They need to win this game. They will need to win this game. They can't really afford to do what they did at City against us. So I've got a bit of hope that they won't kind of be as pragmatic as they were against City against us.
Tim, the one quick question I'll ask you on that is, if Spurs were going into any game right now, and like you just said with Arsenal, they were playing for a point, do you have faith, if Spurs said they're playing for a point, do you have faith that they'll be able to do it right now?
No, 100% not. We don't play for a point. We never play for a point.
That's the thing. If Arsenal went there to do it, they see it out and get it done. Which I hate saying.
No, that's right. But what I'm saying is they can't really afford to do that with the way the league is at the moment.
They need to win. They need 100%. They need to win. And like Ben said, they are showing frailties. Gabriel hasn't been on as good a form as he was, but they are still getting those clean sheets. Yeah. Which that's where I'm trying to get at, but hopefully we're going to smash them to bits, and we can.
They did concede to Bayern Munich away, Brian. So let's add that into the record.
Yes, where Eric Dyer was man of the match. Anytime,
you know what I mean? If Eric Dyer can have a masterclass against Arsenal, why can't one of our centre backs? You know what I mean?
Can we recall it? Can we recall Dyer just for this game after that performance? I think just recall him. Get Dyer back in.
Let's go around the room and give some score predictions. Jeez. We'll start with you, Brian.
Oh, why? I knew you were going to do that. Oh, I always do head and heart, so I'll do head and heart again. Heart, 2-1 Tottenham. Head, at best, Desmond's. At best. I just can't say lose in this game. I just can't bring myself to say it. So heart, 2-1 win. Head, Desmond.
Ash?
Arsenal have to bottle it at some point. They have a bottle it against Chelsea.
The bottling has started, Ash. Have you not seen? Get the memo, man.
It has to start somewhere. I think if they get a result against Chelsea, they will end up drawing against us. It will be a nervy game, and we'll have a unsung hero. Someone will come up with something that no one's expecting. Do you know what I mean? And the fan base will go crazy. But I think I think 2-2 as well. I'm going to go for a point. I said it in another prediction before, 2-2, and I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, I think you're right, Ash. I think the mentality of Arsenal could change depending on tonight. If they do drop points tonight, I can see them coming into the game on Sunday with a lot more nervous energy, and maybe they might do things that you don't expect them to do, make a few more mistakes. They might come into this game with a bit more like urgency, if you know what I mean. I think we need them to do that. But if they do win tonight, and win comfortably, they might be a bit more calmer going into Sunday, but a bit more measured, and that's the kind of Arsenal I'm going to be a bit more worried about. But I think there's more of a chance we win if they drop points tonight. I'm not, obviously we don't know what the result's going to be, but I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs.
2-1 Spurs.
Come on.
You took the words right out of my mouth, because I'm going 2-1 Spurs as well. Look, this is April, guys. We know Arsenal do not do well in April. Last season they bottled it in April. The season before they bottled it in April, and they're going to do the exact same thing this April as well. Spurs to ruin their title hopes. Their season ends this weekend in N17. Let's get the 3 points, guys. Let's go into it with a positive mentality. I take you back to 2 years ago, standing outside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We all get the text saying, "Oh, Romero's not starting. Romero's not starting." We're going to get absolutely battered in this game.
Sanchez came in.
Sanchez came in and we absolutely smashed them 3-0. So let's go in with that kind of mentality, and let's go beat them, guys. Let's go beat them. Why not?
Come on, man. Come on. You should do the team talk.
We're going to finish off talking about the rest of the season, basically, and we are 6 points behind Aston Villa now with 2 games in hand. Those 2 games in hand, Chelsea away and Man City at home, I believe. Aston Villa do have easier fixtures, but they do have hard fixtures as well. Ash, is our season over essentially right now, or do you still believe that top 4 is still a target?
I think I heard Madison say after a post-match interview, he was like, I heard what Ange said, it's about 4th. He doesn't value 4th or whatever it is. But he said, listen, I want Champions League football. So I think the players, if one of your vice captains are coming out and saying that on public platforms, whatever, social platforms, that tells you where the players' heads are at. They're going to try and push all the way to the end of the season. I think Ange, what he was saying, like he wants to finish as high as possible. He doesn't want 4th to be our end and be all, if that makes sense. So some people are misinterpreting to say like, oh, he's given up on the season already. I don't think he's saying that. I think he's saying we need to finish as high as possible, and 4th can't be this club's goalpost anymore. We need to be starting to push an edge higher. But I think in terms of what I think will happen, I think our front 3 at the moment isn't strong enough to get us over that kind of line where we want to be in that kind of, well, not we, I say some fans want to be in that Champions League position. I just think I look at Aston Villa and I just think they're just further into their build, and a lot of fans are complaining about adaptability, tweaking, changing it for each game. That's one thing I think Emery has done well. I think Emery does change in-game as well, like in-game changes. He's able to do that. I know we smashed them 4-0, and so that probably goes against what I'm saying, because I'm just trying to, install the philosophy. No matter who we're playing, he's trying to get the philosophy first before he starts, moving things around and tweaking things here and there. But for that reason, as I said before, Villa are further in their building. You could just see by the quality of their players up top. Like, football's not hard. They've got Diaby. They've got Bailey. Bailey's on form. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, look at Watkins. Watkins, the number of assists and goals are in the double-digit figures. So when you've got a front 3 like that, and Zaniolo's coming on, he's not like setting the light around fire, but he's still like helping them towards where they need to be. And then you look at our front 3, and they're all kind of like, I would say they're not living up to the levels of maybe, like, say, if you compare it to a Man City, an Arsenal, or even a Liverpool, our front 3 is not at that quite level. They're a bit more inconsistent. Like, we didn't have a reply for a Newcastle who were out of form and had a patchwork team put together. Do you know what I'm saying? Especially their defense. That's something we could have got at. and we didn't take advantage of that. And that's not the only game as well. We've seen like there's other results like Fulham, where we should be hurting those teams that you expect us to win against, and you need our front three to kind of get us over the line. They haven't really turned up in those because it'll be different. Like I don't mind. Let me use my words carefully. I do mind losing, but I want to go with a fight, if that makes sense. I don't want to just get punched up, like, you know what I'm saying, every week, getting punched up, getting moved to. I want certain times to leave a mark on my opponent. I want to see my opponent get roughed up as well. So they're like, raw, you know what? We beat them, but did we deserve it? Do you know what I'm saying? And certain times that front three, and I hate to use these colloquial words like moments, like when you do have those small opportunities in a game, you need to take it. You need to be ruthless. You need to say no retreat, no surrender. Do Spurs have that in them at the moment in this season? I haven't personally seen that. Do you know what I'm saying? As I said before, a lot of our players have been underperforming. We may need a game like this to kind of push us back up, where we can get to that level where we, take the Arsenal out, we take the Chelsea out, we take the Liverpool out, we take a City out, but it is a tall order. The players will be up for it. Don't ever get it twisted, because that's where they play football for these type of occasions, for the big moments. They want the Champions League football. So the motivation intrinsically is definitely there. Whether they can do it in those moments is a different question altogether. And that's where my head is at the moment. I think fifth is like, if you ask me, like, if we're going to get Europa and fifth at the start of the season, I would say that's a good season. But the problem is the way it's capitulated. Like, we started so well and then we tailed off. It'll be different if we didn't start well and then we saw the progression. Then we could we could see it's working now. The philosophy is that it's kind of mad. Like, it's going the other way around. And now it's like we're questioning it at the wrong time. You kind of want to see your team have green spouts, like you want to see progression going, not like, but at the same time, and I always contradict myself. Listen, I don't mind if we stink it up a little bit, because Ange needs to see. He has to learn. He has to learn the weaknesses of his team. He has to learn the weaknesses and the mentality. Who has the mentality? Who doesn't? Who can do it in those moments? And who doesn't want to play for him next season? Like, who doesn't want to fight for the cause? Who doesn't want to, like, this is a massive project what we're in at the moment. He's trying to get Spurs to win their first trophy in how long? Do you know what I mean? Any manager coming to do that, it's a tall order. But he needs real quality. He's not going to be able, in my opinion, he's not going to be able to do like where he's able to do with other clubs. He's able to, do a little, sprinkle here, sprinkle there. Nah, this is a different league. And these managers that he's up against, bro, they're on this thing. That's all I'm going to say. They're on it.
Yeah. Brian, where you at? Do you think the season's over?
Mate, I've been saying, look, I was on the show last week with you when Simeon asked if we had two buttons when I was speaking about the Champions League and Europa League.
Shouldn't have mentioned that. Sim's got another two-button question for you right now, if you really want it.
I asked him the same question I asked you, and you both had the same answer afterwards. But our season's been over for a little while for Champions League, whatever. But until yesterday, I thought we had nothing to play for. Absolutely nothing. Until Spurs tweeted that we have the historic, record-breaking and iconic different amount of Premier League players to score for Tottenham Hotspur. We hold the record at 171. So my old game for this season is to win the trophy and get 172 and Bissouma to score a goal. That's what we got to play for. To add that historic, iconic, dream-making, multiple different goal score. I mean, why they tweeted that yesterday of all times is beyond me. Listen, I've said for a while I don't think we're good enough for Champions League. People were saying we got a game in hand, and if we win that game in hand, people forget it's away at Chelsea, where Gary Lineker and Dele Alli are the only two players to score winning goals in the league in 30-odd years. We've also got to go away to Liverpool, where, let's just say, the record is shambolic. Got to play the filth, got to play man. I just can't. That fourth is done. If anyone thought we were getting fourth, and they still think that after Newcastle, And even more to the point, even getting fourth, we haven't been able to play one game a week. We've been exposed. I don't understand what this fascination is for fourth just because it gets you Champions League. I said it very openly on the show last week. The season for me is finished. Just get to the end. But most importantly, like I said, let's get Bissouma to extend that lead at the top of the Premier League and multiple goal scoring, because that is something I dreamt of as a kid. It's what I've always wanted.
The glory.
As I said, strikers win your games, defences win your titles, and multiple goal scorers in the Premier League will win you precisely nothing.
What did they used to say at the stadium with the video? Glory past, glory present, where it is.
Dream dare do. Well, we're dreaming, we're daring, we're doing. We should win. The greenest team in the Premier League is on the way, and the electrical open-top bus is already at a docking station being charged up, ready for the parade.
Brian, we should replace the whole 11 next season just so we can extend our lead whenever someone scores.
Mate, there you go. Play the youth. Play them all. Play them all. Play them all, and let's just extend the leads that we do have.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, I think top four is dead. I've made it clear that I'm not really that fussed if we were to get Champions League or not anyway. What it is for me from now until the end of the season, just stop Arsenal win the league. I think that's what it's about. And if we finish fifth at the end of the day, I think we could all agree at this, like Ash said, at the start of the season, it would have been a really good season to finish fifth. I think we have shown signs of progression this season, a completely new 11, Harry Kane leaving, new system, new manager, new everything. So I think there are a lot of good things to take away from this season. But I just think Villa have been better than us this season, and you've got to hold your hands up and accept that. Ollie Watkins, in my opinion, has probably been the best player in the Premier League this season. He should win Player of the Year. And with what Villa have been doing with Conference League and Premier League and still be 6 points ahead of us, we do have 2 games in hand, but it's 2 very difficult games. I just feel like they deserve fourth. If we do finish fourth by the end of the season, then I'll take my hands off and say well done to Ange, and Villa would have probably bottled it at that stage. But look, I think the season's been over for a couple of weeks now, and fighting for top 4 just doesn't excite me as it used to be fair. And I think a couple of years ago it probably excited us a bit more because we were going against Arsenal for top 4 and it just meant a bit more. But I just don't get excited for fighting for top 4 anymore. And if we get top 4, great. But it's not the be-all and end-all for me. And finishing fifth and being in a tournament that we can actually win next season, I see a lot of values in that next season. So as much as the season's over, in my opinion, I don't look at that as a disastrous thing. I just look at that as where we were last season, where we are now. We have shown progression, and it's just where we're at as a football club. And if we don't finish top 4, we're clearly not good enough to be in the top 4, and that's all right now. We're at the beginning of a project and a beginning of a new phase at Tottenham Hotspur. So it's just where we're at the moment. Where are you at with it?
I don't think it's over yet. We're still 6 points behind with 2 games in hand. So it's in our hands. Yes, we have difficult games, of course. We have the hardest run you could probably think of. But that is usually where Spurs surprised a few people in years gone by and in previous top 4 battles when it all seems done and all seems lost. That's when we can turn up and surprise a few people. So I'm not ruling out just yet. I have to give Villa credit because I did have them to drop points on the weekend, and I thought 120 minutes against Lille on Thursday, a tough game at home to Bournemouth where their home form hasn't been so good, and Bournemouth have been in very good form, and also at half time, Bournemouth were probably the better team. I was like, okay, looks like Villa could be dropping points here, but to be fair, they were stellar in that second half, really turned up and won the game 3-1 and convincingly so. So got to give them credit, and they beat Arsenal away from home as well. So if they're going to keep up that kind of form, of course, it's going to be very difficult to get that top 4. I don't think we're going to get there. And at the moment, given that they've won their last 2 and our last game was Newcastle, doesn't look good. What I would say is if they do beat Chelsea on the weekend, they'll be 9 points clear, even though we'll have 3 games in hand, but they'll be 9 points clear of us. I think if it gets to that situation, that's getting close to insurmountable, I would say, at that point, even with 3 games in hand. I would say 6 with 2 games in hand is not insurmountable completely. I would still say if they drop points to Chelsea, we still got chances. We still got Burnley and Sheffield United to come. If we can get some points in these really difficult games, it's not completely gone, in my opinion. We're unbeaten against the top 3 so far this season. We did beat Liverpool. We got 2 draws away from them, and you got to take into account we've got very good home form. 8 of our last 9 games at home, we've won. I do think our home form is very important, and I think I can see us turning up for these home games, in my opinion. So I don't think it's completely gone by any stretch, but it's close there.
How many points do you think we need?
How many points I think we need? So Villa are on 66. Probably at least 10, I would say, maybe 12.
Where are those 10 points coming from?
Yeah, so 6 against Sheffield United and
Burnley. Yeah.
And then you need to find 4 points from the 3 hard games in Chelsea away. I don't think it's completely impossible we get 4 points out of those 4 games. I don't think that's completely deluded to think we can get 4 points out of those games.
So that means Villa won't pick up more than 4 points from now to the end of the season, plus we need to gain the goal difference on them.
Yeah.
The brotherly look there, just
why? Villa are a very good team, but they got tough fixtures as well. I've seen them bottle games in the previous weeks. I know they've done really well to win the last 2. Give them credit. They still got Conference League. They got a semi-final. They've got a cup final after the season as well. So that maybe they'll pick up some injuries. Maybe they'll get distracted. I don't think it's completely beyond the realms of possibility they take their off the ball a bit in the league. Fair play to them. I got to give them all the credit. They've won their last 2 games, and I didn't think they would. And I got to give them credit for that. That doesn't mean they're going to continue to win games. In my opinion, they got to keep up.
The one thing I will say that we got to remember when it comes to Villa, this is Unai Emery, who knows how to juggle European competition and league.
On the contrary, Brian, he continually fails to juggle both, I would say.
He's doing it now.
He's doing it now, but in years gone by, he has struggled to do so.
But he will win a competition, which is, I think Villa are going to go on and win that competition. I think he's got a better squad than he's had at his other teams that he's been in. And I think he'll guarantee, or he will get Villa full spot. And as much as I love your optimism, Sim, and it's always good to get a dose of Sim optimism, you should bottle it and sell it. I just can't see it.
I never said it's likely. I'm just saying it's not dead. I don't think it's dead at all. The fact is, it's in our hands. Well, how can you say it's dead when it's in our hands? So, in my opinion, until it's not in our hands and we're completely out of it, then I'm not going to say it's dead. And we've got, as I said, we step up against big teams. We've done it before. So why can't we spring a few surprises? I wouldn't rule it out. Everyone's on a downer because we lost 4-0 to Newcastle. I get it, but our home form is very good. We've got some very important home games coming up. So if we can win some important home games, why rule it out?
Yeah, the thing is, look, we might surprise a few teams, but I just don't see Villa only getting 4 points. That's where my issue is. I think that's doing a disservice to Villa. Like there's one thing Villa not performing 1 or 2 games, but to completely capitulate, I'll be very shocked.
They got 4 games, Ash. They got 4 games. They got Chelsea at home, Brighton away, Liverpool at home, and Palace away. How many points is that?
6. I see 6 points there. I think that I look at their front line. I know I was focused on their front line so much, and I focus on our front line. I just think we're more likely to kind of maybe not get those results compared to what they do. It's hard. It's hard. Like we could obviously go to Sheffield United. We could go to Sheffield United. They've got nothing to play for. They're really relegated.
It's kind of like
Spurs, bro. I've seen it before. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm being real. I've seen us like the last game of the season. Spurs to win to get into Champions League against Sheffield United, and then all of a sudden Sheffield United just start turning up.
Yeah,
those 6
but
points,
I've seen it. I've seen it
guaranteed.
before against Norwich as well. They had nothing to play for. We battered them 5-0. Last game we needed to win to get top 4, and we got the job done. We could also do it. I think there's a very good more of a chance we do it than don't do it. I would argue.
Similar, Ben, I'll say, because you've got your computers in front of you, obviously. How do the fixtures work out is it like when we were playing Leicester, when we continuously went second and knew what we had to do? Are they always playing before us, or are we playing before them anytime?
Yeah, that's a good point. I like
Let
that.
me see. So I think on the weekend they go first. So we're going to have 3 games in hand. We're going to have 3 games in hand by the time we play Arsenal. Then obviously we have our one of our game in hand will be in midweek against Chelsea. The following week, both play on. The following week we both play on Sunday. They go first on 2:00, and then we play 4:30 against Liverpool. The following week we play Burnley at 3, and then they play Liverpool on Monday. So we go first that week, and then obviously we've got the game in hand, another game in hand the following midweek at home to City, and then obviously everyone plays at the same time on the last day against Sheffield. What I would say is I can see Villa definitely dropping points in their running. It's more whether we can take advantage of it. For me, is going to be the big thing.
So I hate games in hand. That's my one thing. I would prefer to have the points. I'm not gonna lie.
Of course, no, for sure. I'd much rather be in Villa's position, considering the games we have. I'd much rather be in Villa's position. But I just think I know they coped really well in the last round against Lille with juggling Europe and Premier League. But it's about consistently doing it. It's not about just doing it once. You need to consistently do it. Whether they can cope with Olympiacos and the games, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they can, and credit to them if they do. But I just remember they got Chelsea next. Chelsea battered them in the FA Cup. I remember 3-0. That was a really comprehensive victory. Brighton away. Brighton's a tough game. They've only lost 2 home games this season. Brighton, so no guarantees they go there and win. Liverpool's Liverpool, and then Glasner's really turning it around for Palace, and they might have a cup final after that, just before the final day of the season. So that's not an easy game as well. Obviously, we've got the top 3, so none of our games are easy. I'm just saying, there's no guarantee that they go and win all their games. That's for sure.
It'd be interesting if they need to win that Palace game to get top 4, and they've got the cup final after that. Which one do you reckon they prioritise? Because obviously top 4 gets you Champions League, but winning that competition only gets you Europa League. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see which way they go with that. Yeah,
be very interesting. So. I think it depends more on us than on Villa. I'm pretty certain that Villa will drop enough points for us to nick it. It's just whether we take advantage of it, in my opinion. Well, it's obviously on us because currently we have the games in hand, so it is on us.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have faith in the team at the moment to pick up enough points from the teams that we've got left. I just don't. Especially when you're looking at Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal all fighting for the title.
I think personally.
But these are as well, when you're fighting for the title, that's when the pressure's on as well. And that's where we could take advantage of that. You see how many times we've seen teams in the title race slip up. You know what I mean? It happens all the time.
Basically, what we will do is we will win games you won't expect us to win. And then we'll get in a position where
we'll lose to Burnley and Sheffield United, and beat Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City.
That would be classic Spurs. That would be classic Spurs.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, oh man, this team. So yeah,
you can actually see it though, can't you? You can actually see that happening.
Also, right now, no one expects us to get top 4 now because Villa are gone on a good one. We just lost, so the pressure's off in a way because no one really expects us to do anything, and that's where Tottenham as well thrive when the pressure's off a bit.
Yes, when the pressure's on.
For me, it ain't dead yet.
All right, well, let's go around the room and see if we really think it's dead. Brian, yes or no? Are we making it?
100% dead. Dead.
Ash?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Simba, I just want yes or no.
Yeah, we're making it.
I'm saying no, 100% not. So there you have it. I think that brings a nice end to the panel. I want to thank Brian and Ashmatic and everyone in the comments that have joined us. There's actually been one members chat just before we go from the Joracle that says, stop the subs title in North London, in the North London derby is a big chance for us. Now it's down to Ange to show he can make it happen when it matters. Big up, lads. And I guess we'll take it step by step, starting off with the North London derby this weekend. But big up to all of you out there. Thanks for joining in. Brian, Ash, big up to you two. Do you want to let us know what is going up on your channels this week, starting off with you, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's going to come out before the Arsenal-Chelsea game or tomorrow morning at our normal cock-a-doodle-doo time. But I've done another quite emotional from the heart video, pre-recorded, where I've actually gone in about my ongoing health issues and everything. Like I've spoken out about my mental health and addiction issues. I'm always open about it. Just let people know what's going on. And also to talk about what I think has been going on at the football club in the last few weeks. And I'm not talking about on the pitch. So I think that'll be out later on this afternoon. And then
Brian,
I'll be doing my reaction.
I heard you've taken a timeshare in the new hotel.
Oh, mate, I'm most definitely. I'm just trying to find out where I could put my sniper, just so I can get it right in line. So yeah, I've taken the penthouse for that reason. But yeah, I'm doing this video that will be out, or it will be the reaction after the filth, and then hopefully Andrew management, and obviously on the fan show with you guys after that, or not you guys, whoever's in the watch along. But yeah, that video is coming out hopefully today or tomorrow. But thanks for having me on, guys. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, I think it's Barnaby and Marlon in the studio. And Marlon has a very good record this season. So big up, Marlon. Keep bringing those 3 points.
Another reason we can get top 4.
And yeah, I think we're going to have Marlon in every single game from now to the end of the season. But Ash, what are you saying? What's going on your channel?
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, guys. Appreciate you having me on. Big up to the comments, everyone in the chat. Big up the panel as well. Big up Brian, and hopefully your health gets on the mend as soon as possible. Yeah, man, we've got a show, me and Marlon, tonight. If you guys want more of this North London derby debate amongst Spurs fans, we've got plenty more. I'm still working on it. I'm gonna dive a bit deeper on like Arsenal's strengths versus Arsenal's weaknesses, the games they've lost this season versus the games they won. So how will they hurt us, and then how will we get, to expose them? How is there a way? Can we defeat them? And then also on Wednesday I do a rival show, and it's gonna be mainly Spurs versus Arsenal fans on there, having it out with a little mix of banter as well. If you like that, come and join us 9:30 on Wednesday. So yeah.
All right. Big up, Ash. Big up, Brian. Go and subscribe to Tottenham on Tour and Spurs Kings TV as well. That is us over and out. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.